Get you on? Okay.
Good evening. Welcome to the June 12th, 2018 meeting of Pequannock Township Council. Before we get started, I'd like to welcome our new Township Manager, Adam Brewer.
Well, that's your name.
Adam.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
I was wondering who was sitting next to me. Like, who's this guy?
Yeah, that's me.
All right. And then we'll go to Miss Marsh.
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends newspaper, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by prayer and a moment of thanks for our individuals serving our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
Amen. The clerk will please call the roll.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Here.
Mr. Hurd?
Here.
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Phelan?
Here.
Mayor Winterfeld will be a few minutes late.
Okay, there are no presents scheduled for this evening. At this time, are there any reports or comments from any volunteers serving our community? Joe?
Joe Wells, 5 Washington Street. Two different committee things. One, I think I've mentioned this before, but just to reiterate, we've planted all 400 of our trees, most on Pequannock Avenue and the balance on Riverside. They're all doing very well. I don't know if the people appreciate it, but I appreciate all the rain that's happened since we planted, and they're doing well. The other thing, I have an Eagle Scout doing a kiosk on Riverside Drive. I have one more kiosk to do. I'm still looking for a volunteer individual or a volunteer group to install a kiosk on North Pequannock Avenue. I would supply all the materials and guidance and so forth. Just need some manpower to do that. So if anybody knows anyone that would be willing to take on that task, I'd appreciate it. As to the rail trail, notices have been sent and received by the residents that have properties that are encroaching on the railroad. The wording is very clear as to what their responsibility is, and that the railroad has indicated that they would like to see action taken by the 18th of this month. So we'll see what happens there. And as the chairman of the Open Space Committee, I'd like to also welcome our new town minister and offer our assistance in anything there.
Manager.
Sorry.
Ministering is challenging. Managing me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
I did want to say one thing, Joe. When I went down Pequannock Avenue, I think I was with Melissa and Kathy, we were quite impressed on how many trees were planted there. The tubes, I guess you have them on?
Yeah, there's 375
You know
trees
what we said? Oh my goodness.
Right,
it's
375.
Those trees, that's a big project.
Yeah, they're also encased in a protective sleeve for deer and other animals. And then in addition, there's a stanchion that goes there to support them while they're still supple and young roots. And we're also, it lifts up and we're pruning as we go along. And hopefully they'll stay on their own after September. Going to try to see if they'll be substantial. And then that protective sleeve actually breaks away. It's laser cut. So as the trunk grows, and then we'll just have to retrieve them. It's impressive. I don't know if it's too beautiful, but...
No, I just thought of
how
much watering Joe would have to do if he was watering every one of those trees.
He is doing that. I have two 55-gallon drums in the back of my pickup truck, and I've been working with the DPW on the fire hydrants, and the biggest problem is it takes 450 feet of hose to get to all of the trees. So it's a labor of
the time, right?
It's a labor of love. That's why I opened with the rain. I'm so happy about the rain that's happening there. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Any other reports from volunteers? Stacy?
Hi, Stacey Ann Webb for the Teen Advisory Committee. The Teen Advisory Committee attended the street fair last Sunday. All the kids did a great job. They had their own booth and they manned it. They figured out who was working what hours, and they got 19 people to sign up to learn more about Teen Advisory, so it was a great job by them.
Great.
Good.
Thank you. Any other reports from volunteers? All right. The next item on the agenda is public comment. This public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period of public comment is reserved later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized. Come to the microphone, provide your name and address for the record. Anyone? Come on up, Donna.
Donna Satani, 117 Greenwood Ave in Pequannock. In driving by, I live right behind Washington Park, so I drive by there all the time. When, I don't know whether it was when the field was put in there or the parking lot, but there are huge mounds of dirt there. And I had asked about this once before. Since it is a floodplain, I just don't know, what are the plans for all of that dirt? Like, is it being moved within the floodplain or out of the floodplain? Is it part of a zero net fill thing?
I think poor Adam doesn't have the answer.
Hey, I don't have the answer yet, but if you don't mind, I'll get your contact information.
Just bring it to your attention then.
No, thank you. No, I'm happy to reach back out to you with the answer. I just don't have it at my disposal.
Yeah, okay. All right, good.
And unfortunately, we don't know either, so.
Yeah.
Transition.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else for public comment?
Matthew Garcia, 130 Boulevard, Pequannock.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
130 Boulevard.
Thank you.
So, hi, council. So recently on the Facebook page, there's been a lot of complaints about garbage in the parks. I want to know if there's any plans by the council or by the new manager to reinstate the garbage pails back to the parks in town.
That would be a great idea.
I believe what we, as a council, we're going to do is we were going to go through one more cycle, which is the end of this summer.
We're at the end of, pretty much the end of the cycle.
So now we have to review, get feedback from
The health department, the DPW workers, and then they'll make a recommendation. We either put them back or not put them back, and then we'll decide whether we're going to put them back or not put them back. But
I think we need to take in the public's take on this whole thing.
We do.
Right, just because the DPW says they like it doesn't mean that's what we want to do, because it's about what the public wants, not what DPW wants. Even though I love our DPW department, we actually work for the residents of Pequannock.
I think we should put them back.
There you go. There's a man who comes right out and says it. Me, I kind of go circling around.
Yeah, we need those things.
Yeah, but
let's make it easy for people.
Right.
But we will review it. I don't know which meeting we'll do that, but
I would say probably in July, so if you can ask Pete.
That's the one-year time frame, correct?
Yeah.
When we talked about it last year?
Yeah.
So we should get the input from Pete from the Health Department,
And it's
Parks and Rec, DPW.
Matt, right?
Yes.
And Matt, if we do decide to put them back, I hope that the parks do become less littered.
Okay.
Something tells me that it may not happen, but I'm hoping.
All right. Thank you.
Right, we put them back in and we have the same problem.
Yeah.
You know, might as well leave them out.
Yeah.
And it might end up being a compromise where you just put one or two if there was 5 or 6 there before. You know, we need to evaluate it.
Yeah, so if we can get input from, Pete and the DPW, maybe for either the beginning of the first meeting in August or the last meeting in July, this way we can make a decision, because we did say that we would give it one more year, and I think we're pretty much at that year, so.
I'll also put something up on the website to solicit feedback.
That would be great.
And ask people to submit, pro, con, whatever they.
I don't think there's any pro of not having cans in there. That's just my opinion.
I have to second that.
I'm sure you would.
Any other public comment? Did you have something else, Melissa?
No, I was just going to say, on the flip side, you will get some people that will say it fosters, partnership and a sense of, being responsible and picking up. So we're going to have to weigh everything.
Most of your national parks are carry out.
Right.
Joe?
I just wanted to offer a suggestion. I think you should have the garbage there myself, and if you look at the Facebook page of the town, you'll see a lot of people that also say that. There is one other alternative, is that in some cases with parks, you can ask for volunteers to adopt that park, and they would maintain it and clean it up. That's a secondary option, but I think that we should at least have the garbage cans returned. Okay.
Sharon?
Uh-oh, looks like you got a lot of stuff there.
This is like my football.
Right.
This has been with me for a long time.
She takes notes, Robin.
She does.
Good evening, Sharon Taylor, 19 Libby Avenue, Pompton Plains section of Pequannock Township. How are you?
Good.
How are you doing, Adam?
I'm well, thanks.
Are you happy?
Yes,
You excited to be here?
very much so.
Only
Welcome.
been a couple of days.
Good luck.
We got time to check.
So this is about the garbage cans in the parks. And the township did some work, studies, and at one point had taken them out for a reason. So now residents want them back in. But before we do that, I think there's also got to be some education, because I walk around township a lot, and there's a lot of garbage thrown all over the place. And I can tell you one part is right in front of the high school, town property, right?
And they have garbage cans.
And they have garbage cans. So Sunday night, I went for a nice walk, and I found alcohol bottles. I saw plastic cups. I've seen 3 cars with kids in front of them just hanging out. When they're done, they throw stuff out in the street, and there's a garbage can right there. Food wrappers. I go for jogs around this township. I tell you, by the football fields, the tracks, garbage everywhere. And so I'm okay with the township saying, we did a study, we want to bring back a garbage can, let's put it back in, it's going to cost X amount of money. But there's got to be education, all right, parents?
Is what it is. People have to care.
They have to care, and they have to be responsible.
Right.
So if somebody's posting something about, hey, I found garbage bag in Woodland Lake, all right, well, Burger King bag, I don't know who did it. Is it someone young? Is it someone older? Okay.
Someone threw it out of a car.
Someone threw it out of the car. Could it have been the wind blew it over? I don't know. But we spent a lot of time, and I say we because I'm probably one of the few that we come to the meetings, and there was a lot of study done and a lot of money that was saved by taking the garbage cans out.
But if you put the garbage cans back in and you have the same problem,
You're just wasting money.
at that point, you're wasting money.
Okay, so that's my input on it. It's not just saying, hey, put it back, that's not going to solve the problem. So in our DPW, they do a phenomenal job. I mean, like usually every year I say they decorate everything great, they clean up everything, but it's not their responsibility to clean up every single piece either, okay? If there's games in town, and after the game's over, it should be the town's responsibility, the people with that sport, to clean it up. I'm sorry, if you have kids hanging out in front of the high school and they're just throwing stuff out in and what bothers me is it's liquor bottles. I saw one just right in the ground. So that tells you right there you have a problem with people drinking alcohol there. People skidding out of that parking lot right in front of me. So I think we need to fix the problem before we just say put the garbage cans back in.
People have to care, so.
You have to care.
That's the bottom line.
Maybe the health department, or you can initiate some sort of program or some kind of awareness about littering, picking up after yourselves. A lot of people have kids. I think it's a parent's responsibility to tell their kids, you're going to go out, pick up your trash. And then if we do a study and you say, okay, maybe a garbage can in front of the park, that could be an alternative, because then you have something from the entrance and exit standpoint. But to put garbage cans all around the parks, throughout the park, how much garbage is really being thrown out in there? So if you have 10 garbage cans in one park, was it only 30% of that garbage can being used? Some were empty, so it was just sitting there like a waste. And then we pay our garbage, we pay our DPW and our garbage, and they do a great job picking up in town. So that's just my standpoint on it.
Maybe we should also make sure that we, if we do decide to put the garbage cans back, we let them know that it's going to be a test, another year of a test, and we'll see. If the parks are considerably cleaner, they'll stay. If they're not, what's the sense of having them there?
I can understand one being in the front, but they were all around the parks. There was a whole discussion on this. There was a study done. There was a cost analysis on how much it cost us to have the garbage cans there and pay. It's not just about having a garbage can. It's the cost for everything. Your DPW workers, your garbage can, your garbage pickup. So that's just...
It's a cost for everything, but
it's a cost for everything.
I'd rather see a clean community.
I would rather too, but I think it comes from within.
It does. Unfortunately, I spend a lot of time on the fields, and we do have a lot of people from out of town, and the fields are much, much more water bottles, more stuff are on the fields than they ever have been.
But it's my understanding that when there's games, that the garbage cans are out.
There's nothing around Hillview. The only place that they're out is by the snack stands.
Washington Park, okay.
Yeah, next to the snack stand, Washington Park, and next to the snack stand on Hillview.
So
but around, there are.
Yeah, so if like Pequannock's hosting a game, I could say, all right, it's our responsibility to make sure it's clean.
Well, even softball on Sundays,
Yeah.
I mean, Hillview's right behind my house, and it's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess, so, and I was at the track this morning, and it's a shame that not the track side, but the other field was so many bottles, 20 or 30 bottles on that field, all over the place, so, yeah, I saw it.
Did you jog? How many, did you jog?
Yes.
How many miles?
Want to go?
Yeah, I did 9 miles. I did Saturday 9 miles.
Nice.
But I went, I was down the shore, there's, I'm right on the street, main street and all, they don't have that type of problem. I think it's just where we are, in the location. Yeah.
Well, I know when we did a cleanup at Greenview Park, it was mostly alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was all
I was just saying that
beer
you missed
bottles
it.
and stuff like that.
Mayor.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, alcohol bottles are in front of the high school. It's just sitting there, throwing them right
The
out.
front side by the parking lot, or behind the
I've seen them in both, but Sunday night it was in front of the parking lot. And actually in front of the parking lot where the high school, the seniors park. And then also there was some in front where the front entrance was, like the next part of the high school. So, nice little bottles. So, okay?
Thank you. Kathy, we're pretty, is there any other volunteer comments? No? And then we're going to turn it back over to Kathy.
We're good?
We're done with volunteer comment. Or no, public comment.
Public comment. Okay. The public, that was it? We finished that?
Yep.
Yeah, nobody else? Nobody else? Okay. Next on the agenda, public hearing on ordinance 2018-07. Ms. Marsh?
Ordinance number 2018-07 is an ordinance amending Chapter 189 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Pequannock and increasing the permitted duration for the use of temporary storage units on properties subject to flood elevation.
We've talked about this a lot. Are there any comments from council? No. No. Is there a motion to open public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, if anyone in the audience has questions or comments on this ordinance, please come to the microphone, identify yourself for the record. Nope.
And the planning board was good with it, Kathy?
Yep.
Yep.
Planning board was good with it.
Let's move it.
Did they say anything more, Rich, Monday night?
I was with my mother.
Oh, all right, I wasn't there either. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make
that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2018-07.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lawrence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Phelan?
Yes.
Mayor Winterfield?
Yes. Next on the agenda is item for introduction for ordinance. Ms. Marsh?
Ordinance number 2018-12 is an ordinance establishing minimum and maximum salaries and pay rates for the designated officials and employees of the Township of Pequannock for the year 2018.
Mr. Brewer, any comments or any explanation?
This is an annual salary ordinance that's consistent with the township's approach to compensation for employees. It's necessary in order to make payments. There were a number of changes that Mr. Holberg, staff, and I worked on, and it's prepared for your consideration.
So the ones that are bold are the ones that were changed to a higher number.
Right, either a minimum or a maximum.
Are there any comments from council? No? Is there a motion to introduce this ordinance on first reading?
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance 2018-12.
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Phelan?
Yes.
Mayor Winterfield?
Yes. The next agenda item is resolutions. Ms. Marsh?
Beginning with Resolution R 2018-104, authorizing tax office refunds, overpayments, or cancellations. 2018-105, approving the renewal of the designated alcoholic beverage control licenses. 2018-106, confirming the designated memberships in the Township of Pequannock Fire Department. Those are for Vanessa Van Sant, Jeffrey Demarest, and Gavin Mangarelli. 2018-107, authorizing the participation in the Union County Cooperative Pricing Agreement. 2018-108, authorizing the execution of a temporary construction easement to S.J. Houck N.J. from the Township of Pequannock. 2018-109, appointing Adam W. Brewer, Township Manager, as Fund Commissioner, and Holly Lyon, Township Treasurer, as alternate Fund Commissioner to the Morris County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund. 2018-110, appointing Adam W. Brewer as QPA. 2018-111, authorizing a professional services agreement between the Township of Pequannock and Associated Appraisal Group for real estate appraisal services. And 2018-112, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the June 7, 2018 bill list.
Thank you. Are there any comments or resolutions from council?
Yeah, I have a question. Union County Cooperative Pricing Agreement, what are we using that for? Because usually it's Morris County Cooperative.
We are actually, this will be the 5th cooperative pricing or purchasing group that we're a member of.
Oh, so this is just another group?
Correct. There's no additional cost to join. It's just another opportunity to save money, acquire things in a legally compliant way.
Okay, I was just curious why we were going to Union County. That answers that question.
Any other council on any other resolutions?
I had the same question, that was answered, and the other one I had was on the real estate appraisal services. I assume that this is only taking into consideration the sewers, not the amount, not the whole appraisal based on today, just the sewer. You know what I mean? Like, in other words,
yeah,
you would normally have to
assessment. Right. Well, what happens is we have to be sure that the assessment at least represents the increase in value to the property.
Right,
so we need somebody to help us do that on the sewer side.
Okay.
Right.
And in that agreement, I didn't see a time frame. Do you know how long it will be it'll take them to do that work?
I know it has to be done by the end of the year, so before then.
So you don't anticipate us finishing that up then before the end of the year?
You don't anticipate us doing an assessment on people this year?
Well, that's why I'm wondering, when is that going to be?
I don't have an exact date. I know it has to be done by the end of the year, and we wanted to get the ball rolling, but I can get back to you with an exact date.
Just trying to estimate.
Right, what Kathy's referring to is eventually we have to do an actual assessment.
Right.
Confirmation.
It has to be a confirmation.
Right, and that probably won't happen until sometime next year or the following year, I would assume.
And I know, Melissa, you had talked about, and I'm interested in too, is looking into some kind of relief or something.
Right.
An extension on the time,
Yeah, I talked briefly to Adam about it. I know he has a meeting tomorrow. I don't know what will come out of that, but Right, Adam?
Yes, there was a resident who provided a letter to the council who I'll be meeting with tomorrow to get more information.
Okay.
But whether we can do anything as far as timeline, I don't know.
Is there past precedent?
I don't know, that's what Adam was going to check.
Well, I bet you you'll find past
I
precedent.
think we've done everything.
And that's Adam's pulling together information so we can
Right,
make
because
those
I think
decisions.
Up on the hill there, that was dragged along for quite some time.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think this is time to look at it, time to get it right, and time to maybe look at the ordinance a little bit on how we do that.
And the construction easement, that's for the,
That's on 108.
like you were saying, for the flood elevations?
Correct. There's a contractor who has a number of projects where he'll be working with homeowners to elevate the homes in the flood-prone properties. Normally, when you do a municipal project, there's the storage of materials at wherever municipally it's available. Because this is a private contractor, even though it's, something that's definitely in the public interest, we have to execute this agreement in order to protect the township.
Yeah. Well, I had questions on that, because that is in the flood area, and I imagine, is it in the wetlands? Is there any kind of special permitting, or are we exempt because we're a municipality, or?
There are uplands, the township engineer is involved. We had a meeting this afternoon to confirm everything was going to be okay. The authorization tonight allows the agreement to be entered into. Within the agreement, it states that the materials can only be stored with the approval of the municipal engineer. So everything will only be in areas that they're allowed to be stored.
Because I imagine they have to be stored properly. And
Has to be
it doesn't
safe, has to
leak,
be
yeah.
properly. We're going to work to keep the park open during the storage, fencing, other dynamics associated with the storage of any construction material.
Okay, all right. Okay, any other, Mr. Hurd?
I do have a question here. Under the list of bills that we're paying, page 9 of 13, there's a line item, Women's Golf League 2018, at a cost of $4,500. What's that all about?
Well, they pay for that too. It's like a
So it's just a
reimbursement.
flow-through, or?
Well, I'm sure there's some revenue from it, but it is a flow-through with revenue, I think.
My guess is obviously it's a recreational program, whether it's something that's just a pass-through that's supported through user fees or otherwise. That I don't have an answer to right now, but I can get back to the council.
And is that for?
Greens, for the, so they can play.
Yeah.
Right,
Green
but would that be for the golf place in town, or is that out of town? Any clue?
Wherever they play. I think they play at Sunset
They probably
Valley.
play at Sunset, and it's
Okay.
probably the women's
I think they
golf.
play at maybe several places, I'm not sure. Yeah, but it is a recreational thing.
I was going to say one of the members in the audience actually plays.
Wednesday and Thursday at Sunset. There's an out-of-town league, I don't think that's through the...
Okay.
Thank you.
That's all my questions.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolutions 2018-04 through 2018-112.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Phelan?
Yes.
Mayor Winterfield?
Yes. Okay, there's no items for discussion. Next on the agenda, reports and notices. Are there any comments or questions from council? In your packet.
I don't think so. There was just that one,
There's just
right?
that one thing.
And that hasn't happened yet, correct? That's June 18th, okay.
Yep.
Nope.
Okay, so if we're good, we'll have manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously, the first couple of weeks have been acclimating myself to the township. It's been wonderful to meet with the staff, the residents, and a number of the business and other people, so everything's going very well. My compliments to Mr. Holberg. The transition has been phenomenal. I've never had an opportunity to work with someone that was in place that took the time to actually introduce me around, so my compliments also to the council for affecting the change in a way that seems to make sense. Having colleagues who have gone through this as well, people are shocked to hear that there's actually a turnover of information and ideas, so I'm grateful for that. Jennifer McCullough did also ask me to make everyone aware that the 2015 FEMA grant was extended for a year. The reason we requested the extension was because it took FEMA some 21 months to release some of the money, so we wouldn't want to see any projects delayed or not take place because of FEMA not releasing the funds in that time frame. So there was a one-year extension. But other than that, that's my report, and thank you very much.
Okay, great. Councilwoman Florence Lynch?
Let's see, I have, the library board will meet next Wednesday, the 20th, and then the Economic Development Committee, they'll meet on the fourth Wednesday of this month at 7:30. The only other thing I wanted to mention, two things. We had a couple of town committees at the street fair. I think it was a success. I know the flood committee was there. I thought it was well run, and I just thank everybody for all their efforts, because the street fair, I don't know what, I think it was record numbers this year.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to mention the Rotary. The Rotary is holding their scholarship luncheon tomorrow, and it's actually at the American Legion in Pompton Plains at 12 o'clock. Any of the council members that are available can attend that. So somebody just told me this afternoon to bring it up. So I don't know if anybody has any interest, but feel free. Okay, that's it.
Okay, Councilman Hurd?
Let's see. Open space, Joe stole my thunder on that one. Teen Advisory Committee, yeah, Stacy stole my thunder on that one. Rotary 5K, had a lot of people there. It was great. We had a great turnout. Melissa, I saw you over there.
I did a walk run.
Rich, where were you?
What do you mean, where was I?
Should have been at the Rotary 5K, running with us.
Just so you know, I had some issues with my mother being in Care 1 and not eating and so forth, et cetera. That takes precedence over 5K.
Absolutely.
So thank you. Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, there is something. Castle. So, the fireworks the other night. They were beautiful. They're loud.
During movie night.
During movie night, yeah, exactly. So there's going to be a couple more fireworks scheduled and apparently helicopter landings. So my concern is with our volunteer people. Fire. They give a lot of time.
Not one person has complained.
No, I know.
Sat at company number 1. They were excited to go over there and watch the fireworks with company number 2. So
I'm just worried about, is there a happy medium? Yeah,
they would be the first to complain if there was a problem. Okay?
Was there a permit for that?
I agree with you.
I think there was a permit issue.
We might have to just look at, there was a lot of chatter on Facebook that maybe when we know that fireworks are going to happen at the castle or what have you, you let the residents know somehow, at least unofficially, on either the Pequannock Facebook page or on our township website.
There is no Pequannock Facebook page.
No, I know, but that's why I said unofficially. Or you can put it on, it would be great to go on both. Put it on the township website, and if somebody wants to post it on Facebook, that's fine. But the point being is, dogs get scared, and so a lot of people were complaining about that. The other thing is, if that happens like every other weekend, eventually it's going to take be a strain on our volunteers. As of right now, it's not, but you might want to we might have to look at a policy down the line.
Should we start thinking about a policy? And don't take it the wrong way. I want the castle to be extremely successful. It's beautiful. They're thinking outside of the box. I think that's incredible. Just, let's start thinking about it so there is no issue.
Neighborly.
Right, that's all.
Good neighbors, that's all.
Yeah. That's all I have.
I think the residents should be notified ahead of time. Yes, I agree 1,000%.
Yeah.
The question is, how do you do that?
That's always a question.
How and who?
Right.
Yeah.
Nixon.
Other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilman Cole?
These new swim lanes will be dedicated on June 22nd at 3:15. I got 3:15 down. I think it's 3:30, but 3:15 to be safe. That, I believe, is also their first official meet. Speaking of fireworks, we will have our township fireworks on June 29th at the high school. The rain date is the date of the
hoedown.
And the first aid squad met last night, and last month's calls, they had a total of 42 calls for the month of May.
Do they break them down by type of call?
They do.
How many were drug-related?
There was only, let's see, chest pains, dehydration, stroke, sickness, unconscious, overdose. It says 1 here, and it says overdose suspected alcohol 1. So I guess that would count as 2. Total of 2. The top one was tied with fall victims, standby fire, and traffic accidents. 6 calls at Cedar Crest.
Of course, right.
And they assisted at the Morris County Park, Lonatoka Park. They had an event there. They brought the ASAP up there, and they assisted them with that also. That's all I have.
Councilman Phelan?
So back to the fireworks. The fire companies were notified, as well as the first aid squad, which tells me somehow it came through this building. Somehow the township was aware of this, would be my assumption, in order for the fire companies to be aware.
I believe there was a permit issue. So.
There was a permit issue?
I believe.
Okay. So there answers your question. How do we know there's a permit that gets issued? I don't remember the council approving it. Does anybody?
No.
Nope. We approve everything else around here.
I know.
We don't approve that.
Every other street closure, any little party.
Don't know.
All right, so...
I'll get back to the council.
Well, with that said, Mr. Uzdike might want to start looking into that. Is that possible, Bob?
I can look into that.
Right.
To whether or not we can...
Right. You can't even have a car show in this town without us approving it. So, but you can blow off $20,000 worth of fireworks, and, it's amazing.
Did somebody mention a helicopter, too, or no?
Yeah. I understand they have drones.
But not a helicopter.
They filed FAA for 3 helicopter landings so far.
Do they have a helipad there?
Okay, here's the deal on that. I just heard that today. There's a whole bunch of football players and movie stars going to somebody's bar mitzvah.
That was this weekend.
Yeah, they already had it.
Helipad? To land a helicopter?
That was a fire.
Have an area. I don't know. I don't know how that works. That exceeds my current knowledge.
That may be outside of our jurisdiction completely. I wouldn't be at all surprised.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be at all surprised.
So
The
let's find
helicopter,
out.
I think the fireworks are within our jurisdiction, but...
Helicopters, I don't know, jets, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, I think
So,
that's under.
so anyway, so there is a mechanism to be notified of certain things going on at the castle. I don't think helicopters falls under that unless it's in the flight
Unless
path.
they get hit with the fireworks and we have to be dispatched.
Right, so I agree with Ryan, I want them to be as accessible as possible, but there's certain things that we want to be aware of so that we can let our community know, because a whole bunch of people, I'm sure, were very surprised to hear all those fireworks go off.
Including me.
Including me. I was in my backyard,
right?
and I'm like, what's going on?
Who is that?
I figured it was the Anellos, if I may. They do it all the time.
Okay, so,
Or they shoot fire.
Yeah, when Lincoln Park has their fireworks, do we notify people of Pequannock? I hear them at my house.
no, but Dave, this is happening in our town.
I understand.
At a private organization, that we, again, we should...
I'm sure our township manager will handle it
I will find
appropriately.
out and figure out a way to let people know.
All right, Companies 2's meeting is this Thursday, and their new fire truck, I'll have an update after this Thursday, but it should be coming in sometime, hopefully in July or August.
Okay.
So that's it.
All right, thank you. The only thing I have is the Environmental Commission meets tomorrow night. The coalition, I don't know, Ryan, I think you're part of that, and I don't know, Melissa, if you've ever been, but what we're going to talk about tomorrow on the agenda is that student survey that came out. And there's some very interesting data in there that we might want to review.
Are you going tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm going.
It's 4:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also, this is the time of year when we do committee appointments. If there's any holes to be filled in any of your committees, we usually do that like in first week in July.
Yeah, that would be
So
great.
if you want to tell anybody or fill any positions or whatever, this is the time to do it. So it's just a reminder.
So we want that at the next meeting?
We probably should have the applications, the names at least, and then we could do it the next meeting.
Okay.
Do you want to set a deadline for getting the applications in? like a date? Do you want them just
July 1?
July 1.
Yeah, we'll do it the first week.
Well, you should really only do it for ones that you have openings.
Yeah, the ones that there's openings.
We already have applications, I think.
Well, you don't want to go resurrect them for like 2 years, you know?
No.
You want it, I mean,
We had-
holes, yeah.
I don't
We have
know
a
how
few.
many- We have a few that came in.
Yeah, or if
We might
anybody
not
has
have-
any holes.
In other words, we might not have to solicit for more because I
Exactly.
know Economic Development had a few that came in recently.
Okay, well, that was just an FYI, that's
Well,
all.
the next question is, where are there holes?
Right, that was,
Well, I think we all should know on our
I'll send out a
committees.
list of,
Well, on my committee.
And I know on mine, and everybody should know on theirs. And bring it forth to the next meeting, that's all.
okay.
We don't want to put another list out telling us.
And you don't have to.
Okay.
If you're functioning, fine, you don't have to, it's just this is the time when we do, if you need to, that's all. Next on the agenda is public comment. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized and come to the microphone, provide your name and address for the record. You're next, Matt.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Beverly Pissarro, 414 North Pumpkin Turnpike, Pumpkin Flats. That was very loud, the fireworks. My windows were shaking, you know, having all that. A couple of meetings ago, Paul, I think it's Darmafalski, spoke, and he was talking about some of the vacant lots and usage on the turnpike. And I live on the turnpike, so I'm kind of concerned about it. And I know a few years ago there was a discussion about a lot next to the gas station, the Coastal or Delta gas station by Alexander. And so I was just wondering, what lots are they referring to? And which ones are available? They said it was from the middle of, he said, middle of town down to the Delhi Planet.
He's talking about wanting to do some rezoning.
Right, rezoning to
Yeah.
have professional offices put in. So if a doctor wanted to open up an office, instead of him going in front of the planning board or the Board of Adjustment, they would just go right to the construction department and get the permits to do it. That's basically what he was referring to. Because if it ends up in the planning board or the Board of Adjustment, they normally approve it anyway. So why not streamline the process? So it's not about lots, it's not about...
Oh, okay. I
Right,
know.
it's...
No, it wasn't about anything in particular, it was about the whole zoning on the
Yeah, I
turnpike
kinda,
there.
you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't explained very well. I guess everybody else knew. I didn't, you know, what it was about.
Well, he was speaking on a recommendation based on the Economic Development Committee,
Yeah.
and he was coming forth with their suggestions.
Yeah, because I know a few people have been concerned there's some lots, and they're saying, well, I wonder if this is a lot, or does it belong to someone, you know, and we don't really want it too commercial where we live.
No.
You know?
Right.
And,
No, we don't either.
Yeah, I know, you know.
It's a mishmash right now, and I think
Right.
he's just trying to
Streamline it.
streamline it to get some sort
You
of...
shouldn't be worried.
Not yet, but you should keep your ears open as there's more discussions about it.
Yeah. Something else that maybe isn't even about this, but I do a lot, I walk every day, and I walk down by CVS, you know, prescriptions and whatnot. And I don't know who takes care of it, if the owner, it just looks such a mess. And, you know, you ride through town, the shrubs, you know, I mean, I like to do that gardening, but I have so much of my own, I wouldn't be able to do it. But it just looks like, I don't know, weeds, you know, they put mulch down, but there's, all the weeds are still sticking out. And I don't know, it doesn't give a good impression as you ride through.
Yeah, that's the landlord.
You know, who the person is that owns it, that I guess he has to take care of it, because it's someone's property. But it just doesn't look very nice, and I don't know, as a resident, you know, what I do.
if we have an
Besides do it
ordinance.
myself, I don't want
Yeah, for beautification.
I will
know
say
if we have
that-
an ordinance for beautification.
Yeah, I think you have to mow your grass and things like that.
I can tell you this, I did do, over the years, the same areas people have complained about. So I literally drove to some of these establishments, walked in, found out exactly who owned that.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm going to try to discuss to see if there's something we can do, because there probably is, like we have an ordinance where they have to maintain, you know, a certain, like you just said, they have to maintain the front of their place or mow it or whatever.
But it doesn't say if weeds versus flowers,
Right.
you know, it
So
doesn't say
The
that.
problem is, you know, again, the zoning officer would
I
have
guess
to.
the town maintains across the street from that, you know, with a few benches. I mean, that looks really nice.
Panther Park, yeah.
I guess the town takes care of that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we do.
And it's not,
Yeah, that was an expensive park.
yeah, but I mean, it looks so nice.
Right.
And I wish the rest would look nice. You know, when you take
Yeah.
care of your own property, you want everybody to take care of theirs, and it
Right.
doesn't always happen.
we want a beautiful town,
I
but
know.
you have to find the balance between too much government and,
Yeah,
people
right.
need to know
I
what
know.
has to be done
Yeah.
correctly without
Right.
people telling them. I mean,
Right.
you would think common sense
I
would be
know.
to keep your town or your area looking nice,
Exactly.
especially if you own a business or whatever.
And if you want to rent the spaces that are available there, there's some
Right.
rented,
Right.
there's some empty
Right.
spots. I mean, I wouldn't want to go when it looked shabby.
I
Who's gonna
agree
shop-
with you 100%.
shop
So the landlord's only hurting themselves by not cleaning up.
So, anyway, I don't know.
If you
Think about-
patronize any of those businesses
I do, I
in there,
was
just say, hey,
I was
who owns this place, you know?
I was-
Well, I do know a few people, and they
Send a
put
message.
pressure on them. The
No,
landlord's
I
very,
don't know if I
he's a slumlord,
do that.
yeah.
Maybe. I'm getting older, getting a little braver.
That's good.
We welcome you to come to any council meeting.
I do. I've been coming a lot.
Okay, good. That's what we
I don't usually get up.
Yeah,
But,
this is the first time we've heard you talk in a while.
oh, I don't know, and I should be good at it because I taught for 30-some years.
Yeah, okay.
It's kind of different, talking to the council. But no, I've been trying to come, to show a little interest, and then I tell everybody, well, my friends don't come. I said, you ought to come, instead of just using me as your spokesperson. Anyway, okay. Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
More than I expected, but that CVS thing is getting me. Okay, thank you.
Matthew Garcia, 130 Boulevard. So, going back to the garbage pails in the parks, I don't think 5% of the town should ruin the 95% who are abiding by and who are actually using the garbage pails. Like, the high school kids are obviously going to be the ones that are probably the ones who are ruining it, but I'm pretty sure that we were talking about before how there's a lot of bottles on the high school fields, correct? That would be under school jurisdiction, yes?
Right.
So I think that the high school problem should be for the high school, but I don't think that a small majority of the town should be the ones to ruin the garbage privilege apparently for having to be able to dispose of your garbage in the middle of a park, if you know what I mean.
Makes sense?
Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon?
Sharon Taylor, 19 Libby Avenue, Pompton Plains. Just in regards to Adam, in front of CVS also, I'm sure you're aware, but I meant to call that in, the curb. There's a lot, it looks like the curbs...
By a snowplow.
Right, so is there any plans to fix that soon, or how?
That's a county issue.
Is that
Right,
County
but we
County?
should reach out to the county and say.
Yeah, because that is like a safety issue. It's actually hit it in a few spots.
We saw that when we
So-
walked down the parade. You
Right,
could see
so-
where it was hit many times.
Right,
yeah.
so then you can take it one step further. Who plows the county roads in
We
Pequannock?
do.
We
We
do.
But, there is a lot, there's some large blocks still
Yeah, there
on the
are.
roads, so they may just want to get removed.
Yeah, when we walked that, you could see it was a mess.
It almost looks like there was a defect in the cement because
That whole streetscape is a nightmare.
Even the walkway, when they put the bricks, we've discussed this before, they put the bricks, and that was the worst move you can ever do, because just like anything, it needs maintenance.
They weren't real bricks, were they?
Yeah, along the...
Whatever the cost savings
No,
were.
not across the street.
But even the walkways are very unsafe.
It was done on the cheap. It wasn't
Yeah,
done
it was
the right way.
done, but whenever you do that, you need always maintenance. It's not something permanent, so I think maybe in the works, that's something the town needs to work on too.
Well, when we were doing our walkables community and all that kind of stuff, we were going to clean some of that up, but
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Maybe next year's budget.
Put it on your list.
Yeah, it was supposed to be part of that whole walkable community.
It was.
It was spread out, and we were just doing a little bit of fixes.
But we still do have to repair it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Donna?
Donna Satani, 117 Greenwood Ave in Pequannock. I just wanted to say, you were talking about Rotary before. Next year, I'll be, well, in a couple weeks, actually, I'll be the new president of Rotary.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I'm looking forward to it, but I'm looking forward to working more with the council and things that maybe Rotary can help you with or do, you know how sometimes you have that little gap where doesn't really come under the government, doesn't come under a private person, and you just need some help with it somewhere. Well, I would like to encourage that kind of commitment between Rotary and the council. So you'll probably be seeing more of me.
Yeah, we would love it.
Great.
All right?
Thanks.
Just a heads up.
Thank you.
Congrats. Anyone else? I guess that's everybody in the audience. Okay.
Frank, that's right.
Oh, Frank, I'm sorry, Frank, you're just a staple. You're just part of council, aren't you?
Frank's like, I'm the only one that didn't speak, so let me go up.
Actually, I was going to come up. My name is Frank Spazzeri, 35 West Franklin Avenue. I want to thank whoever got the air conditioning working in here. It's fantastic. Thank you very much.
That was
Take no
the first
credit.
major thing.
Very good.
That's coincidental.
If we're blaming Dave, we're thanking Dave.
Thank you. Okay. There are no minutes for approval, I assume? Closed session, no?
No, I don't have anything.
Nothing? Okay. There being no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good job.